Good morning, CLC. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for being a part of our service today. We're so happy that you've joined us. Right now, in this moment, I invite everyone to just take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. As you breathe in cool, calming, life-giving energy, breathe out, releasing all stress and tension. Put your day and your week aside right now. Anything you have going on, just let it go for the moment. Take another nice, deep, cleansing breath. Relaxing your body and allowing your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words. I surrender. I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept.
I accept.
Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release.
I release.
Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room with me this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life.
I'm grateful for the good in your life.
Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good force.
Be on the piano. You watch it just launch into space. All right, let's do this thing. I wish you a very pleasant good morning, wherever you may be. And I say that in memory of the late, great Vin Scully, who left the earth this week. Who? The voice of summer. Dodgers broadcaster for 67 years. 67 years, this man, from when they were in Brooklyn all the way up. And we also, Bill Russell went home this week, greatest sports champion there ever was. But I'm not here to memorialize. I have a new series to start with you, based on a little book called The Laws of Manifestation by David Spangler, which Jeffrey over here recommended to me 6-7 years ago, I think it was. And it is phenomenal. What we're doing here, where to begin, that's always the thing. It's like, how far back do we take this? The science of mind teaching, which is what we do here, posits the idea that the universe is one whole system, fully contained, infinite, everlasting, fully present at every point within itself. Another name for that system is God. It's a name that not everybody's comfortable with. They make other associations with that name. It sounds parental. It sounds distant. One whole system. And we further posit in this teaching that any apparent separation that exists between the self and the nature of that system is found in the beliefs of the individual, in an unwillingness to accept peace, joy, love, happiness, and understanding within themselves because they've been hurt, because they've made up certain rules for themselves, felt themselves bound by certain limitations, which, because of the way spiritual law in that system operates, get acted on as though they were real. We make up stories about ourselves, then forget we made them up. We believe that we're trapped inside limitation of one kind or another and start acting like it. And that then becomes our experience, not because it's the truth of who we are, but because we're that powerful as co-creators with this system that we can make up a story, hypnotize ourselves with it, and get to live out the experience until we get angry enough, usually, that we say, no more of this. And then new light is free to dawn. A lot of people who come into this teaching are angry, not at other people. so much as at the system of life. It says, you're not enough. And you never will be, and you have to compensate for that. So we seek out what Scripture calls many inventions to try to compensate for the limitations that we don't really have. Doesn't that sound nuts? And there are people who then become upset when it's expressed to them how free they are, because they've been doing all of this compensating really well, very effectively, a really long time. Now, all of that's the bad news. I thought I'd give you the bad news up front, because I'm here to bring the good news. And the good news is that we're free. The good news is that there's one power in this universe, and it loves you. It loves you so much, it is you. It is you just as you are. It does not seek your reform. I love that expression. I read that someplace. The universe does not seek your reform. It's not looking at you, sizing you up, saying, well, you know, you could do this differently or that differently. You might seek your own reform, and other people might seek your reform. But the system doesn't. The process doesn't. The power doesn't. It loves you just the way you are, because you're living out its dream, which is to collect information on behalf of it, the way that you're living your life. So where this is going is into a study of spiritual psychology, because that's really what we do here. Every time we look at our own beliefs, it's about spiritual psychology. Every time you work with somebody else and you say, would you pray for me? Would you have a knowing about me? It's about spiritual psychology. It's about getting past the limitations that we've accepted in consciousness to go to the place where nothing has ever been wrong. The one power that loves us just as we are and sees us as perfect, whole, and complete. And on that note, I want to throw in another announcement, one that comes later in the program usually, but I want to emphasize it especially today. There is a person who is trained to help you through prayer, and they want nothing from you for it. They're called a practitioner. Sometimes they'll ask for a little something if you want a lot of their time, which is just fair, but not on Sunday morning. And I'm addressing myself here especially to the people who are watching online. There's going to be a phone number in the chat on Facebook, the comment thread on Facebook, where a phone number that you can call, and the phone number doesn't change every week. It's what's called a telebridge. You call this number, and a person's going to be on the line, and they will help you. Like right smack away, they'll help you. You don't have to wait till tomorrow or 3 weeks from Tuesday. They will help you right then. They will know the truth about you, and they want nothing from you for it. And they're trained to do it. And the person today is P.J. Gunner, and it's a different person every week, unless it is. No, it's not P.J. Gunner. It's Michael Avenson. My apologies, Michael Avenson. Our newest practitioner. But good. When they're new, they're good. When they're old, they're good. When they're halfway there, they're good. They're all good. Because they all use the same power, and they all use it the same way. And Michael's in New Mexico, and if it had been PJ, who it was either last week or next week, because I put it in the thing, she's in Colorado now, you know, so they're remote too. But you call this person and you say, I just sat through a talk, and it brought up some stuff. Can you help me? And they will. And you know what? They'll love you too, the way Spirit does. They won't make you wrong, and they won't seek your reform. They won't say, well, let me tell you what you've been doing wrong. They're not going to do that. They're going to speak their word in faith, believing about a power that has your back and your front and your sides, okay? It has everything about you. Because some of the things that we're going to delve into this month might stir the pot a little bit. Why? We're going to talk about, well, I could dance around it and call it other things, but we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about money from the standpoint of consciousness, from the standpoint of creation and abundance and creativity and so on, but you're going to hear money. And I'm not going to ask you for any. Danielle will. Danielle will. but not with more, shall we say, alacrity than she does any other time. Every week we invite you to give. But that's not what this is about. This is not a shakedown. This is not a carefully crafted spiritual shakedown that if you want to do the right thing here, you'll empty your pockets. No, it's about reframing something really important in life that's highly, highly charged. It's highly emotional. It just really is. Because we've tied our self-esteem to it in ways that we don't with any other aspect of life. You know what I mean? It's like if you showed up here not feeling particularly well, that was a problem for a couple of years, but we ask you, please don't. But, you just, I don't know, you're a little fatigued or something. You're not going to judge yourself over that. You're not going to expect to be judged by anybody else about that. If you're a little lonely and you show up here, you're having difficulty in relationships, or your kids are mad at you or something like that, you're not going to judge yourself over that or feel yourself to be judged by the people next to you. But if you show up here and you're having trouble with money, it's like everybody knows it. Everybody sees this about you because you're poor and you're a failure, at life. And if only, right? And if you're driving a broken down car or you're living in a house, then it's compared to everybody else. And especially out here in the suburbs, it looks like a thing, So we have all of these judgments about it, and it I don't know, stirs us up. That's why I recommend this book. Because it puts a whole new light on it, even from a metaphysical standpoint. If you've been in metaphysics for years, you've heard about affirmation, which works, and visualization, which works, and demonstration, manifesting what you need. Or if you want to take it to the limit, there's a term called precipitation, which is where you manifest stuff like out of thin air. That's pretty impressive. More impressive still is where he takes it in this book, David Spangler, where he talks about it's a collaborative process. Even better than being able to manifest stuff is to feel like you live in a system that anticipates and meets your every need, and then some. Then you don't have to worry about coughing up this or coming up with that or scraping together enough for something else. To live in a system that works, is built to work, is built to have us thrive, is a whole new way of looking at things, because most of us have been taught that we have to struggle, that everything is stacked against us, not for us, by a long shot, that we have to compete. I'll get to that in a couple of weeks. We have to stand out, that we have to excel, that we have to exhaust ourselves in order to extract from the process the very basics of what we need. And while that is an experience that some of us are having, it's not the truth of our being. Danielle mentioned these mobile food events that we host, and we don't just host them, we work them, we break a sweat, and especially you younger people, come join us. This is how pyramids get built. It's like we get to a point where we want to stand back and say, let's put that stone over here, but no, we're out there breaking a sweat, giving food to people who don't have food, and that's wrong that they don't have food. But it's not the fault of the power that built creation. It's more complicated than that. It's so complicated you can't even call it a fault. It's difficult to assign blame. And that's someplace we want to go a lot of times, because that settles the question. Who caused this? Let's make them wrong. Let's vote them out of office or whatever. But it's more complicated than that. It's called the Scarcity Model. There's a book about that too. There's a scarcity model that we've invested in that has haves and have-nots. So we're going to go to a level of consciousness where a scarcity model has never been possible. Not mother's sister. Who's Ernest Holmes? Founder of this teaching, 1927. He began the Institute of Religious Science, and you can read more about him on our website. But Gussie Rundell hung out with him and the group that ran the Institute of Religious Science in LA and published books and published something called the Extension Study Course that for many years was how you accessed this at a distance before we had the technology we had now, and you got stuff in the mail and to read, and you could send in papers for review and all that. So I've been researching some of this stuff. I have these old documents and I've been going through them for a project I'm working on. And there's a letter in there from Gussie Rundell, a little essay she wrote. She said, so I'm around some ice cream. I don't know where, Carnival or something like that. And somebody comes up to her, and she doesn't say who. It's written in kind of an oblique way, but it's a cool little essay. Somebody comes up to her, and I'm guessing it's a little kid, around this ice cream, and says to her, what flavors you? What flavors you? And she believes that the child means, what is your favorite flavor? And so she says chocolate or something, you know. And then later, and this is why she writes the essay, she gets to thinking, what does flavor me? What does make me who I am today? What are the ingredients that have come together to create the consciousness that I have? Who told me something that I believed and internalized? What happened in my life that I interpreted in a certain way that gave me the particular outlook that I have? This is good information to have. This is what we've actually been working on all this summer, is in knowing ourselves and in knowing that everyone else knows themselves too. So what flavors you is what I'd ask you. What are the things? So I was thinking about this with another group I'm talking to, and I was raised by people, being of the age that I am, I was raised by people who were raised in the Great Depression and who had a certain story about how things were. That you use it up and you wear it out and you make it do, and that story is part of what flavors me. Now that's not a bad thing, but it's a good thing to know. It's a good thing to know. There's a balance that we want to strike in how we transact with the world, but ideally we don't want it motivated by fear. We want it motivated by expansion. So the recognition of the reasons that we do what we do, in this context, especially in regard to how we fund our creativity and how comfortable we feel having big new creative ideas and how well we expect them to be received by the world, it's good to know all of this. You don't have to be a starving artist anymore. You don't have to be somebody who has to defer the dream. But you can step out there and create amazing things in your life, and the world will open up to you. And that's going to be the recurring theme through all of these weeks and beyond, is what you want to create in your life. I'm sorry if I get excited about this, but I jump up and down. Not actually on stage. I guess I could, but I won't. What you get excited about creating in your life, this all around you is just as excited, if not more excited, to have you show up with it. Look at how often we look at only one side of the equation. We say, I need a job, and we scour the earth for the right job. Well, somebody else needs an employee. Somebody else needs a product or service that you have. Have you ever been in the position where you need somebody to come do something that you don't know how to do? Or maybe you don't have the physical oomph to do it right now? Or you just know they could do it better, and you can't find them? Well, that's frustrating. We went through this whole thing with COVID where people were having a hard time finding people to come work for various reasons, and some of them were very good reasons. But you see what I'm saying? It's like you open a restaurant or you open a barber shop, you open a hardware store, you open anything at all, you need somebody to come in there and do these things, and then you want to train them to take over for you so that the thing lives in perpetuity. It's collaborative. It's all collaborative. We were talking about this other thing the other night about how religion back, 1,000 or so years ago and beyond, not even that long ago, maybe 500, 600 years and back, was about a collaborative effort in the community. It wasn't so much about you getting yours, me getting mine, and all of this private gain. It was about how can we be pillars in the temple? How can we build a culture that works? How can we have a good crop yield? How can we keep the livestock healthy? You know, how can we anticipate when the rains are going to come and the river's going to flood, and what to do about that? And over time, for a variety of reasons, in a capitalist system and the rise of the merchant class and blah, 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 we've gotten to the place where it's all about me and my portfolio, you know, my narrow little collection of things. So Spangler writes about that doesn't work. That can juice up some money, but it doesn't create prosperity. Because prosperity is a feeling. It's a consciousness. It's a consciousness of having your needs easily and naturally met. So much so that you can take your eye off the ball for a while. You can take your eye off your needs. Are my needs being met? Are my needs being met? You ever get obsessive like that? I do. Are my needs being met? How about now? How about today? How about today? You know, at a spiritual center, it's like, what was our income last month? What was it the month before? What was it, 10 years ago this month? Is this a standard August for us? How are we doing? How are we doing? Then it's time to sign a new contract for, I don't know, the insurance or something, and it's, what's that going to be? And yeah, it's part of the drill. We do this in our personal lives as well, but how nice it is to be able to step back from that and breathe and know that the needs are going to be met, provided we show up and provide a service, such as at this spiritual center, which I think we're really good at, frankly. We're really good at providing the service that we have on multiple fronts. We teach science of mind, and we offer pastoral care, and we hand out food, and we do a lot of different things, and we're thinking up more things all the time to do. Well, as a result of that, we're creating an opportunity for the universe to support this ongoing effort. And that's as it should be. And everybody participates in that at the level of their own experience out in their lives. Where I'm steering this is into the place where we can each of us feel like, again, the system is for us and not against us. It wants that new product or service that you're thinking up. It wants that discovery, that invention that you're planning now, that you're about to have, this mind-blowing new awareness. Eureka. Archimedes in the bath, this amazing thing that you're going to see. It wants that painting from you. It wants that piece of music from you. It wants that sculpture from you. It wants that. Why? For its own entertainment and the entertainment of its other godlings around you. And so this is not you having to swim upstream and having to do all this difficult stuff. It's you having the wind at your back, really. The spiritual wind at your back to sail into the destinations that you want to explore. So I diverge in my thinking from customary metaphysics, and I've realized for some time, when I tell you I don't believe that there's such a thing as a law of attraction, when I tell you I don't believe there's such a thing as prosperity consciousness, why not? These are limitations. It's one more hurdle. Now there's the law of attraction, along with the law of mental equivalence and the law of this and the law of that and gravity and electricity and so on. Now there's one law. There's one law. And we're always attracting, and we're also always repelling. But it's not one more specialized study that you have to get into this law of attraction thing. And that leads to the other thing about prosperity consciousness. There is no such thing as prosperity consciousness. I will stake my whatever on it. Reputation. Doesn't that sound so? I'll stake my reputation on this. That there's no such thing as prosperity consciousness. You know what there is? There's consciousness. There's just consciousness. Because if we compartmentalize prosperity consciousness, then we've got love consciousness, health consciousness, this consciousness, that spiritual consciousness. It's like which one, it's like this gearbox full of these different, which one am I working on now? And I'll tell you how you know that there's no such thing as a standalone thing like prosperity consciousness is if it were all about just that and drumming up prosperity, you would be able to resent people and regret your own actions and still thrive. And you know what? You can't. You just flat can't. For me to experience, for the individual to experience real true prosperity of having needs easily and naturally met, I must be willing to grant to my worst enemy the same heaven I wish to enter myself. Assuming I have a worst enemy, but you know what I mean. The people who hurt you, or whoever it is that you think is unworthy and that they're just foolish and all this, you have to be willing to grant them room too. You have to be willing to have them cross your mind unharmed. Real deep forgiveness. One last thing for today. So I get worked up about this. Some people will say, wait a minute. I know somebody, or I've heard of somebody who doesn't do any of this stuff and they're rich. They're a terrible, rotten, evil person who resent and hate and whatever, and they're richer than Croesus. Well, no, they're not. They may be moneyed, but they're not rich. They are not rich. They are tormented. And you can be tormented with money as easily as you can. Without it, it's maybe a layer of insulation. But let's stop looking for workarounds. Let's stop looking to game the system. Because every time I've said to myself, I want great spiritual consciousness, but I still want to keep my resentments and regrets. Because if I let these go, some people are going to get let off the hook. And I can't let that happen. Every time I've felt that way, my world gets smaller, dingier, It doesn't lend itself at all to real prosperity, real abundance, a real feeling of yes. We can do better than that. We can do better than that. So what I invite you to do in the coming week is just start thinking of your place in the world as being a collaborative effort, by which I mean this. When you leave here today, which I hope you won't do for another hour at least, because we've got some fun things for you, but when you leave here today, you're going to get in a car built by somebody else, go drive on a road paved by somebody else, to arrive at your house, which was probably built by somebody else, where you'll cook some food that was grown or harvested somehow or other by somebody else, and on and on and on. And all of these people have benefited by supporting you being who you are, and you are in turn benefiting the world by engaging with what they have provided. And somebody is reading your words, and somebody is benefiting from your work, and wherever you go to a job later today or tomorrow, whenever you go there, you're going to be doing some things that somebody else doesn't know how to do or doesn't have time to do, relies on your expertise for, and they're going to benefit from that. And they're going to turn around and do things, and they're going to turn and on, and as far as the eye can see and beyond. There is this sharing of good throughout the culture so that we don't have to think about it. So that you can come in here and flip the switch and lights come on. A lot of people have put a lot of energy into that. Start thinking of your life that way, and notice what works. And notice the light. I left my house this morning to drive here, and I was thinking about this talk, which is honestly what I do on the drive here. I sometimes listen to ear-splittingly loud music, but I also am thinking about the talk on the way here. And there is a light. I come out of my little subdivision onto a main thoroughfare, and at the end of that, it meets another main thoroughfare, and there's a light. I never make this light. And this light takes forever. It's one of those, you're sure it's cycled through a couple of times. And you get mad at the other people because it's like, wait a minute, I missed my turn because it's that long. I was so fired up today about what I wanted to say to you. I came out of there, green, boom. And I thought, that's a metaphor.
Yeah.
That's a sign. It's a sign. It's a sign. It's a sign that when you're in the flow, the lights turn green. When you're in the flow, it's easier than it was to do what needs doing. So more on this next week. And through the week, again, as Danielle said, all of these great groups on Zoom and so on, please take advantage of what we have to offer here from so many different voices, so many different great minds sharing with you these amazing teachings. Let's know together now there is one life, one power, one presence, one spirit, just one. And in this moment, we're just going to bask in its glow. There's nothing we need from it. No relief is being sought in this moment. Nothing needs to be lifted from us. It's just the great I am being what it is. Telling us that we're enough, just as we are, without another moment having passed, without anything having changed. And at most, what we'll do is a reframing in consciousness. And so I affirm and know that for each of us now, that's easy. It's easier to stop the struggle, to turn toward the light, to say, I have a gift because I am a gift. And my gift is well employed in this world. I have a voice. I have hands. I have a mind because I am a mind. I am of the mind that made a star, surrounded it with planets, peopled this earth with living things. All that I need easily and naturally flows through my life, free of fear, free of doubt. I proceed onward into my goals, and each goal, once achieved, opens out into more in an endless succession of joyous adventures for this knowing and the way that it does manifest in form. I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now, calling it done, and so it is.
So it is.
And now I come to ask you for money. But before I do want to acknowledge, because Jesse mentioned there are so many people, practitioners, ministers, people who don't necessarily carry that title that help this place to run and be what it is. Every single morning, Reverend Lisa is online with Facebook Live, and every single evening, Reverend David is online with Facebook Live. That's available to you every day, almost 24/7. I was about to say 24/7, but 9 a.m. in the morning, about 5 a.m. in the evening-ish for both of them, but every single day, 365 days a year. I don't think you guys have not missed a day at all, have you? Yeah, and if they miss days, they make them up. So, I mean, they're always there. In addition to that, we have a number of practitioners that, of course, they are available to you after service. But if you need help outside of that, practitioners will be there for you. All you have to do is let us know. Our phone numbers, our email addresses are all in that weekly email that you receive. So you can reach out to any of us. And if that person is not willing or able to help you in that moment, for whatever reason, they will direct you to someone who will. So there's no reason that you cannot get the spiritual support and the love and the guidance that you need from the center. So I just want everybody to know that and be aware of that. And I want to thank everyone for everything you give to us, your time, your energy, your love, your monetary support. Because no matter what you give, no matter how small or how large it is valued, it is appreciated. We are grateful for you. And so with that, I invite you now to say with me, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
Already in there. And as Jesse says, it doesn't change from week to week. So, and they will be available to you for about 15 minutes. We don't want to keep them all day either. Okay, I think that's what I needed to say. Now watch me forget those when I walk off stage. So, I had cataract surgery on one eye, and my brain is still just, so focusing is, which you can see I'm having trouble focusing. It's okay, there's one power. And that's what I'm about to call on now. And I did say that Lunasa was the first harvest. It means that we are headed into harvest time. So all of that hard work that we did in the springtime and all of the mindfulness that we did over the summer is paying off now. That is what First Harvest is about. It's about gratitude. It's about seeing the fruits of our labor. So with that in mind, because we're not going to get the cooler weather for another month or so, let's be honest. Let's think about the first harvest. And let's know that there is one power, one presence, one life, one love. And all that is proceeds from that one power. We live that life. We are that presence. We are channels for that love into this material realm. It is through us that things happen. So let me say that again. It is through us that things happen. Frequently we think it is to us. I would like you to change that language just a little bit. It is through us that things happen. So as we move into this harvest season, as we reap what we have sown and move further in, we are still growing. We are still ripening. We are still changing. And that will continue. But now we are thinning it down and concentrating on that which is the most important to us. And whatever you call it, I'm going to call it love. And I'm going to call it good. And I'm going to call it done. And I am going to know this with all of the gratitude in my being. I am grateful for this teaching. I am grateful for this place. I am grateful for these ministers, these practitioners, these musicians. I am grateful for you. And I know this love, this harvest season, is done even as we speak our words. And so it is.
So it is.
With me.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I
I
am.
choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust
I
it.
use it.
I use
And I
it.
love it.
And I love
So
it.
it is.
And so it is.
Here, Mel. Do you want this?
Yep.